So good evening everyone and welcome all to the second day of webinar. So as we discussed yesterday, so this webinar is about an introduction to competitive programming, and we could solve some problems yesterday which were easy to get started with. We solved problem related to arrays, and we also solved one problem related to linked list. So today we'll continue further. We'll try to solve some more problems which are maybe easy, medium, and one hard problem as well. All right. So let me pick another problem to get started with. So this problem statement is the problem number 383, which is standing for ransom note. So let me navigate to this problem statement, ransom note. It's an interesting question. Okay. So here, as you can see, it's a string related problem. So given two strings, the one string is a ransom note and another is magazine. There are two strings. Return true. So we have to return true if ransom note can be constructed by using letters from magazine. So two inputs are there, ransom note and magazine, and this function should return true or false. So when should it return true? If ransom note can be constructed by using letters from magazine. Otherwise you have to return false. So each letter in magazine can only be used once in ransom note. So basically there are two strings, one is called ransom note, other is a magazine, right? So we should try to construct ransom note using the letters from magazine. Okay, so you can consider magazine to be a superset and ransom note to be a given string. So using the superset magazine, we should see if we can create ransom note string. So here, for example, magazine contains only one character B and ransom note contains B. So using this magazine string, which contains only B, can we construct A? No, we cannot construct A. So we have to return what? False. Now let's take another example. Here you can see ransom note is AA and magazine contains AB. So question is, can we construct AA using the string AB? So notice we can use only a character only once. For example, A we cannot repeat. We cannot use A twice, right? So using AB we cannot construct AA. So again we have to return false. Is that clear so far? Let me take the third example wherein we have ransom note as AA. So can we construct AA using the string AAB? Yes, we can, right? So magazine contains two A's and B. So we can construct ransom note AA using the magazine string. So we have to return true in this case. So did you understand the question? Let me stop sharing my webcam for now. All right, it's a string related question. All right, so two strings are there. One is called ransom note. We should see whether we can construct ransom note using the string magazine. And we cannot use the characters in magazine multiple times to construct the ransom note string. So in this case, the third example, AA, can be constructed using AAB. Okay, so because there are two A's. So let's try to work on a logic from this. Let's see whether we can create a logic out of this. So can you think of a logic how we can solve this problem? Any ideas how we can go ahead? So this problem can be solved in many ways. Okay, so let's try to find a little bit optimized solution. All right. So one option is we can take a character in ransom note, right, and see if it is available in magazine. If it is available, well and good. So we can maybe replace the character in magazine which is found with some other basically input. If you notice here, ransom note and magazine contains only lowercase letters, right? That is one option, right? So what we can do is, let's say in this case, for example, you have A. So I can search whether A is available inside magazine and replace A with, let's say, a character like star. All right. Then I can take the next character A and check whether it is available in magazine. Yes, so A is again available. I'll replace it with star. If it is not available, I can say yes, it's not found, so I can return false. This is one option. So another option is we can use something called as a map to keep track of how many times basically a letter is occurring in magazine. All right. So two options are there. So let me explain how the second option, second logic which you can implement. It's slightly different logic, but I want you to basically give a perspective of how you can use something like a hash map so that we can solve this problem using a hashing technique. I'm not going to use a real hash. I'm going to use a array of basically map which is going to count the number of characters in magazine first. So let me explain this by using a diagram. Okay. So here we have a magazine and ransom note. So ransom note is a string. For example, I can take ransom note as A B. I'm just taking one example, or let's take AA, and let me take magazine is equal to AAB, or A. Let me take it as ABA. All right. So this is the input, right? So let's use a technique which is called as a hashing kind of a technique. So wherein I will construct a map in such a way that we'll keep track of number of occurrences of each letter in magazine. So what it means is, so let's say you create an array, okay, of elements called as magazine hash. Okay, let's explain this in detail. So if you look at the inputs are letters from A to Z, and these are nothing but 26 letters, right? We know this. So what we can do is we can create a hash array. I can create a character hash array, let's say of some size 128. All right. If you look at the ASCII value of letters, right, between A to Z, or any ASCII value, it is going to be in the range of 0 to 127, right? For example, we know that ASCII value of A is 65, right? ASCII value of A, lowercase a, is 97, etc. So this concept, I think everybody is familiar with, right? So we know that every character has an ASCII value, and for example, In case of ASCII value of A, it is 97. ASCII value of B, for example, is 98, and so on. Now what we'll do is, okay, so we'll create a magazine hash. So what it is going to do is, initially this array will contain values 0. Okay, all the elements, the complete basically array is initialized with 0. So whenever we find a character, and whenever you want to basically keep track of the character in the magazine, we'll update a count variable. So I can say, for example, magazine hash of A, which is the first element in the magazine array. I can do plus plus. All right. So initially this array contains a value 0. So this will get updated with a value of 1. All right. Next, what we'll do is, next letter is B. So what we can do is magazine hash of B plus plus we'll do. So what we are counting is how many times A occurred. That's what we are counting. So we are storing a count in an array called as a magazine hash array. For the occurrence of A, we'll increment by 1. For occurrence of B, we'll increment the value by 1. Similarly, the third index is again A, right? You can see it's A. So we'll do this of A plus plus. So this value will become 2. So what is magazine hash? It's an array of counts. What is it counting? Number of times a letter occurred. So notice here, the index is nothing but the ASCII value of that letter. So let me draw a picture how it's going to look like in terms of array, how it's going to look like. A slightly different approach it is. Okay, it's not something which is straightforward, may not look very straightforward, this approach. Yes, we can simplify this further. All right. So here, this array index starts with 0, and it is 1, 2. I'll put dot dot dot. Then this is 97. This is, for example, 98 index. This is, for example, 99 index. So what is 98, 97, etc.? This is nothing but representing the character A. This represents the character B. This represents the character C, and so on. And this will continue. So this is nothing but our magazine hash. Okay, it's nothing but our magazine hash. So what we'll do is, we'll take one letter from A, from the magazine array, which is nothing but A, and here in this position or index position, we'll increment it to 1. Initially it's going to be 0. Initially all the letters are, all the basically values are 0. We'll increment it by 1. Again we'll pick the next element, which is B. So we'll go to the Bth index, which is index number 98, and store a value of 1. Again, if you see, there is A here. So what we'll do, we'll go to the 8th index, increment the value by 1, which means 2. So we are maintaining a count of letters. how many times a letter occurred. If I have, for example, a C here, next, the value will come here as 1. Now if I have again, for example, another letter A, so this value will increment by 3 and so on. Did you understand what I'm doing? So how we are creating a count of letters. Okay, we are maintaining an array, and in that array we are storing the number of times each character occurred. This array, actually we are not using the initial values. This 0 to 97 values are ignoring it. Okay, and we are storing the values from this position. So these are wasted, by the way. Okay, this memory is wasted. So like this, we are keeping a track of the count of the letters. So this concept is similar to a hash map. Okay. Any questions here? Did you understand so far? I have not come to the solution yet. Okay, so I not explained the solution. I'm explaining one of the requirements for this solution. Ravi Kumar says explain once again. All right. So here we are creating a array of counts. So this is a string, right? So in this string, if you see, A is occurring thrice. A is here, A is here, A is here. So we need to count the number of A's. So what we'll do is we'll count the number of A's and store it in an array. But we are storing it at an index called as 97. We are storing it at a 97th index. We are storing it. So for example, I'll do magazine underscore hash of A. So ASCII value of A is nothing but 97. We are storing the count of 97 in the 97th position. Similarly, for counting B, we are storing the count in the Bth index, right? So each letter you can consider to be indexed into the array. So that's the mechanism we are using here. Hope it's clear. All right. So that is one part. Okay, one part is to count the number of letters. So once we have the count, why do we do it as a question first of all, right? So we are counting. Let me move to the problem statements. What is the problem statement? We have to see whether using magazine we can construct ransom note, right? That's what we need to do. So let me make this as little different. I'll make it as AC, for example, right? Let's make it as AC or ACA. Okay, the ransom note input I'm changing. So idea is we need to see whether ransom note can be created using magazine. So what we'll do is that after creating the hash map, right, we'll take a ransom note character, which is nothing but A, and we'll check whether A is present in this index. So yes, A is present. So what we can do is we will subtract this by 1, which becomes 2. So first letter is available in this hash. So we'll go to that index, reduce the index by 1. All right. Next, what we'll do is we'll take the letter C and we'll reduce the index of C to 0. Again, we'll take the next letter, which is A. Again, we'll come here and reduce the index by 1. So notice here, if the index is greater than 0, we don't have an issue, right? It means the letter is available. Whereas if we take another, for example, letter once again, okay, let me take one more C. So when we take one more C, assume there is one more C in this ransom node. If you look at this index, the index value is 0. That means we don't have another C, right? So there is no point decrementing it because it's 0. So here you can see there is only one C is there. So if you try to basically find a character which is not available, the value will be 0 here. That's the idea. So let's use this logic for now. Okay, once you implement this logic, you can maybe revisit this program. All right. So first let's construct the hash array. Then we'll compare whether the character is available in the hash. If it is available, fine, we can decrement the count. If it is not available, that means that letter is not found. That's the logic we're going to use. So once I write the code, things will become clear. Okay. All right. So let me create one array, char magazine hash of 128. Okay. So this is array. Then let me initialize array to 0. So to initialize array, I'll use a function called as memset. Okay, say memset magazine hash comma 0 comma. So I'm filling the array with zeros. Okay, this array I'm filling with zeros. And array size is, I can say, size of magazine hash. Okay, so fill the array with zeros. Initially I'm putting zeros. Okay, I'll create another variable called as I for running a loop. So you can say create update the count of letters in magazine. So to update the count, I have to maybe run a loop. I is equal to 0, then magazine of I, right? String it is. So I am not basically calculating the string length first. I'm directly comparing it whether it's null or not. Right? So to each end of string, there is no need to process. Okay, this is a loop to iterate over a string. So magazine, I think spelling is correct. So what we are doing, we're taking magazine hash. Okay, so which is the letter? So letter is available in magazine string. Okay, so I can say magazine of I. Okay, so magazine of hash of magazine of I. So here magazine of I will be the first letter if it's index 0, right? A, for example, magazine of hash of A. I can do plus plus increment. So this will create the hash map of magazine. Next, we can compare whether each letter is present in ransom node, is present in magazine hash. Okay, so to compare, we can run another loop. Right? You can say while, what is that, ransom, me copy. So you can either use directly a pointer, or you can also use I index, whichever you're comfortable with. Okay, so maybe initially I'll make I is equal to 0. So to use the array notation, so idea is each letter in ransom node, A I will take, I'll check whether A is present in the hash. Right? Again, I'll take next letter A, I'll check whether it's present in the hash or not. So, okay, while it is not is equal to not character, it's a loop basically, right? So any string loop will look like this. So how do we compare letter by letter? So I can do this if, okay, ransom node of I is equal to magazine hash of ransom note of I. I'll explain this. Okay, just hold on. So we can check whether it is not present. That is one option. I'm using a slightly different logic here. So I'm checking whether it is 0 or not. Okay. So here let's check if ransom note of I. Check if one letter is present in magazine hash or not. So if it is not present, you can see here the hash is initialized with 0, right? For example, if I search for a letter X, X will not be there, the count will be 0. So I'm checking if it is not of 0. If it is not of 0, it will return true. If it is true, we can say the letter is not found in magazine. We can directly return false. So we are checking whether letter is not found. If it is not found, we'll return false. Else, let's say letter is found. The letter is found, what you have to do is you have to decrement the count, right, from the magazine hash. To decrement the count, we'll do this. Copy this. Basically, we're decrementing the count index. Minus. So little bit C syntax you have to know here. Magazine hash of ransom note of I minus. That means decrement the count we are doing. All right. Now after the while loop, we can return true. I'll come back to this code. Let me run this code once, see if it's working. Test case 3 has failed. Okay. I think I did not decrement the value of I. Increment the value of I. Something. So all the test cases passed now. Let me submit this. Something is wrong. One letter false. Okay. For this test case, it failed. I think one extra A is there. It's a mistake here. Magazine of hash I return false. Else magazine of hash of ransom note of I minus. Let me check. Yeah, I did increment the value of I here. I equal to 0, magazine of I not equal to null, I plus plus. Okay. Magazine of hash or magazine of I increment. So one test case is not passing. Let me check what is the reason. While condition only, we have to increment int type array. Yeah, we can use int type array. Yeah, that's true because the size is big. Let's try. So it has submitted the mistake, I think, as pointed out by Sahil. I used a character array, so character array is maximum basically count value will be 128. If there are many letters, the test cases will fail, so I took an integer array here. All right, so let's come back to this solution. So here let me explain it once again. I created a hash array, initialize it with 0, then we constructed the hash. So what does the hash contain? Count of letters. Okay, it's going to contain the count of letters. So for each occurrence of the letter which is there in magazine, we're incrementing the count in hash. Okay, so this is similar to example. This is similar to doing of a plus plus. Okay, I'm just putting a comment here. It's similar to doing a plus plus. So if a is there, it will increment the occurrence of a. Count will become 1. If a occurs twice, again the loop will execute. A will become, the count of a will become 2, etc. Now after filling the hash, what we'll do is we'll take each letter in ransom note and we'll check whether this letter is available inside the hash. How can we check? So you can see here this logic, right? If not, we're checking if it is 0 or not. If it is 0, it will return false. If it is non-zero, that means the letter is found, we'll decrement the count in it. Okay, so this is how we solve this problem. Now I will leave it to you. Okay, later you can try this on this own, but this is a mechanism which uses a hash map. Try this later. If you have any queries, you can come back and always ask this question. We solve this problem. It is supposedly easy. Okay, let us pick another problem. Any questions here? Or maybe you can try on your own later. So we'll move to the next problem. All right, so we'll pick an easy one here, which is related to arrays again. Okay, let me read the problem statement. Do sum. So given an array of integers, nums and integer target. So there is an array called as nums array, and there is an integer called as target. Return indices of the two numbers such that they add up to the target. So basically there is an array given. We have to find whether there are two numbers in the array. When they are added, it is matching the target. Okay, you can assume that each input would have exactly one solution, and you may not use the same element twice. So let's look at the examples. It will be more clear. So let's say there is an array which contains these four values: 2, 7, 11, and 15. Four values are there, and target is 9. So idea is we need to find two numbers. When they add up, it should reach 9. So we can easily see that 2 plus 7 is 9 here, right? So we have to return the index of those two numbers when added becomes 9. So index of first number 2 is 0, index of 7 is 1, so 2 plus 7 is 9. So we have to return these two indexes. All right, let's take another example. Input is 3, 2, 4 and target is 6. So here also you can see 3 plus 2 is 5, so it's not correct, whereas 2 plus 4 is 6. So the index of 2 and 4 we have to store in an array and return the array. So index of 2 is 1, index of 4 is 2. So these two indexes should be stored in an array and we have to return the array. Let's take another example. Nums we have 3, 3. Okay, so here target is 6. You add 3, it's going to return. It's going to be equal to 6. The idea is, given an array of numbers, we have to find two numbers. When added, it becomes target. If it is matching the target, return the index of the array. That's the question. Did you understand the question? Okay. So how do you think we can solve this? Do we need a nested loop here? Yes. Okay. So first thing is we need to create a array to store the indexes. Okay. So array size should be 2. So in the question you can see inputs are nums. The size of the array is num size. Target is the value which you are going to compare. Return size is the size of the return array. Return array size is always 2, by the way. So what I'll do is I'll dynamically, it says return array must be malloc. Let me create the result array. Okay, you can say result array. You can dynamically locate it. Okay, is equal to malloc size of int into 2. Okay, so we created an array of size 2. Okay, that's what we did. Next, we can take two indexes I and j. Right? So we need to run a loop. So let me first put the loop, outer loop, I less than num size -1 I plus plus. All right. So what we're going to do is that we'll take one element, let's say 2, and we will take 2 as one number and see if in this sub array, if we take an element and add it to this initial number, do we get the target? Okay, we'll take 2 plus elements from the sub array, which is 7, 11 and 15. If it is after adding we're getting the target, we'll come out of the loop. Otherwise, we'll continue to basically pick the next number and add and see whether it's working or not. Take the next number, add and see whether it's matching or not. So each time we'll pick a new element as the first number, and the remaining elements in the array will become the sub array. Okay, that's what we're going to do. So what do you think we should be doing here? So you can say for, right, j is equal to I plus 1, right? So we'll start with the next step. I is equal to 0, j should be 1, right? I is equal to 1, j should be 2. So we should not add the same number, we should add the next number onwards. And we can say j less than num size j plus plus. Okay, then we can add, if for example, what is that, nums, array is nums of I plus nums of j. So we are adding two numbers. Okay, num of I and num of j. For example, num of 0 and num of 1 will add, or num of 0 and num of 2 will add, etc. If it is equal to target, right, then we have found a match. So what should we do if we have found a match? What's our goal? The sum of two numbers is matching target. What should we do? What is that we need to do? Store the indexes. Okay, we have to store the indexes. That's what we need to do. So we'll store the indexes in the result array. You can say result array of 0 is equal to I, and result array of 1 is equal to j. All right. Then we can return the result array. Notice one more thing, there is a return size also. Okay, so we have to return the size as well. So before the loop itself, we can do it. I know that star return size, array size is 2, right? So size of the arrays, result array is 2. Size of result array, okay, is 2. So is this okay? We are filling the index result array of 0 with I, result array of 1 with j. So these two numbers we have to return the index of it. Let's run this. Let's see what happens. So control reaches end of non-void function because return type is int star, and we are returning the result inside the for loop. So it's telling here you did not return. So it's very strict checks are there. So what I'll do is I'll return once again here result array. Okay, so this is to avoid this compilation error. All right, so it's working. Let's submit. Yes. Okay, so this code is fine. It's working absolutely fine. So did you understand this? Any questions? It's a relatively easy one. Okay. Yeah, I can return null also, but in the problem it's mentioned that there is a definitive answer. Okay, that's why I return. So it will definitely match the target. Okay, so it'll definitely match the targets. That's why I didn't worry about exiting the for loop. Okay, that's why all the test cases are passed. That's given in the requirements. Yeah, we can delete. We can put a break and delete return also. Not a problem. Either way, it's fine. So I'm not going to do that change now. You can do. You guys can try it. Okay. So if you look at the description, only one valid answer exists. Okay, so there is a valid answer. Let's move on to the next problem. Okay, so this was a relatively easy one. Let us pick another one from the problem set. Let's take longest substring without repeating characters. Okay, this little interesting problem. Okay, so this is a medium difficulty problem, longest substring without repeating characters. That's what it says. So given a string s, find the length of the longest substring without repeating characters. Right? We know what's a substring. It's nothing but a contiguous non-empty subsequence of characters in a string. So you have to find length of longest substring without repeating characters. So here, for example, there is an input S which contains ABC, again ABC, followed by BB. Right? This is the input string ABC, ABC, BB. So output is 3. Explanation: answer is ABC. Right? Longest substring is ABC, which is not repeating. Letters should not repeat. Okay, ABC, in ABC, none of the letters are repeated. So length of this longest substring without repeating characters is 3. Now let's look at the second input. S contains BB, BB. So here if you see all are repeating, so output is 1. So longest substring which is without repeating basic characters B only. Let's take another one. PWW, So here again the output is 3. The longest substring is WKE. Notice here PWW, W is repeating. We can't take this, right? So whereas WKE, none of the letters are repeating. So the longest substring is 3. So is the question clear? Did you understand the question, all of you? Okay. All right. So can you think of a logic for this? How do we basically solve this problem? Ranjit is saying explain again. Ranjit, we have a long string here, right? So you have very big string. In this big string, we have to find a substring in such a way that the substring does not contain any repeated characters. For example, here we have a substring ABC, right? So ABC does not contain any repeated characters. Whereas if I take ABCA, what's happening? A is repeated already, right? A is already there in the previous, basically, if you look at the previous indexes, first index contains A. So this is not a longer substring without repeating characters, only ABC you can take. Yeah, so I'm getting multiple answers. Like compare if next element is in the same. Krishna Rao says, take one character and run through the string while keeping counter and start address, says Rutvik. We can take a nested for and temp variables. All right. Says Robin. Define array and count the character in store like 0, 1. If it's already 1, then says Sahil. So we can do it in many ways. Okay, so let's try to see how we can solve this problem. So one is maybe you can use a hash map approach. Other is let's use a comparison approach to compare. Okay, so multiple approaches are there. So in this case, I'm not going to use a hash map because it may complicate things. Let me use a straightforward method of comparing whether a letter is present in the previous index. Okay, so let me explain this using a diagram. Okay, let me stop sharing. I'll open Sonal. Okay, let's take an example of a string A, B, C, A, B, C, A, B, A. Okay, let's assume this is the string. We can see that ABC is the longest one here, right? So what is that we need to do here? How do we keep track of the largest length? Yeah, so I think as some of you explained, we need to compare character by character in the previous index. We can do that, right? So let's use a function to find whether a character is present in the previous subarray. If it is found, we will return 1. If it is not found, we will return 0. And we'll try to basically use this function in such a way that if it is basically found, we'll stop counting, otherwise we'll increment the length. Right, so we'll use a variable called as length, okay, to keep track of the maximum subarray length. Okay, this is one thing we will be doing, and we will use a function called as find char. Okay, so we'll use a function called as find char, which takes certain parameters I'll explain, so that we can check whether a letter is present in the previous subarray. So these two things are required. Apart from that, we'll also try to basically find the maximum length by using another variable called as max. Okay, so three things are important here. One is length, which is nothing but the running length. Max is nothing but the current max value, and find character is a function. Okay, so three things are required here. Now let me open the code. Sorry. This is the code. So we'll create few variables, int length and max we'll create, and after that we can run a loop for s of I. Let me take index called as I is equal to 0. So we'll use for loop instead of while loop. Okay. So we need to check whether each letter can be added up. So I'll say s of I is equal to 0. S of I we can take, and I plus plus. So it's the outer loop. An inner loop we can take for adding up the next letter and comparing. So I can take j is equal to I, j, okay, s of j plus plus. Sorry. So there are two loops. So outer loop will iterate over the complete string. If you look at the inner loop, we are initializing j to I, and we need to basically check whether the next character can be used to add to the substring without repeating it. So one option is I can start with I plus 1. I can take the next one also. Let's not do that. Here I'm going to use a function called as find char. We'll check whether the character is present in the previous subarray. So let me switch to this diagram once again. So we'll take one by one. Okay, so what we'll do is take A. Initially, we're trying to construct the longest string here. For example, A, B, C, we're trying to construct. Let me change this input for now. Okay, let me take it as A, B, and A, B, C. so that it becomes easy to understand. Okay, so assume this is the input string. So what we'll do is we'll take one letter, okay, and start with the letter A initially and try to construct the longest string, starting by adding it with the previous letter. So initially I'll take A. So A, only one element is there, don't have to worry. So we'll take length plus plus. Length will increment. Next we'll take the next letter, which is B. Okay, we'll pick the next letter, which is B, and we'll see if B is present in the previous string. So this is the previous string. Okay, so previous string contains only A. So we'll take the next character from the list and we'll see if we can append it to A so that it is not basically already present. So B is present in the previous string or not, we'll check. Okay, we'll check if B is present in the previous string. If B is already present, then stop incrementing. Otherwise, pick the next character. Okay, so in this case, if you observe, B is not present. So what will happen? So the previous string, right, will increment, will become, previous string will become A and B now. So we can construct AB without much of a problem. If you look at the next item in the list, it is A, right? So we'll see whether A is present in priv. In this case, is A is present or not? If you see, if you look at AB, AB already contains what? A. So A is present. Yes, right? So we stop incrementing. All right, so we'll stop incrementing here. So this maximum length will be 2, so we cannot pick it up. Next we have to take A, B, C. The pattern will continue here. So idea is to find the largest string which is not having any repeated characters. So let me go to the code here. Let's switch to the code and let's start implementing it. All right, so here I'm going to define a function, new function called as int find char, which takes few parameters. I'll say char star s, okay, char ch, int start index, int end index. So this function, what it does is, it will check whether the character ch is present in the subarray. So it does something like this. Check if ch is present in the sub array s of start index to s of end index. Okay, it's a string, a character search function. We're searching for a character inside an array, but you're not searching from the beginning. You're searching inside a range. What is the range? Range is nothing but s of start index to s of end index. Okay, so let's see how we can do that. So I can say, for example, int I, take a for loop, I equal to 0, I, okay, not I equal to 0. I can take I equal to start index, I less than end index, I plus plus. So loop will run from start index to end index. Okay, and we'll check if c s of I equal to ch. We are checking whether the character is found inside the new subarray. If it is found, we can say return 1. Okay, found. Outside the loop, it's not found, will return 0. So this function is used to check whether character ch is present inside the subarray. Which subarray? In this subarray. So why we are doing this? Why are we writing this function? Hope my screen is visible. Yeah. So to check whether each character has been repeated in the previous string or not, right? Yes. If it is repeated, what do we do? Should we stop incrementing or continue incrementing the length? Should stop incrementing, right? So that's the whole point here. Okay, so let me proceed with this. So find char, we need to pass the indexes, array and index here correctly. I'll say s, that's the beginning, right? And character is nothing but s of j, which character you want to compare, check with, and start indexes I and indexes j. Okay, can do a break. Otherwise, we can do length plus plus, implementing the length. So this for loop will basically try to increment the value of j. So notice here in the inner for loop, only I is incrementing. So j is incrementing, right? So as j increments, we are trying to see whether we can add up the next character, and we are checking whether it is repeating or not. If it is repeating, we'll break. If it is not repeating, we'll increment the length here. So one more thing we have to do is that this is the length of current largest substring. All right. So we come out of this, we have to compare with the previous largest substring. Okay, so we are comparing the previous largest substring. So you can say if length is greater than max, we can say max is equal to length. Here we can return max. So we are keeping track of the maximum length after the inner for loop. So what is max, by the way? That's a question, right? So what should be max initialized with? We can make it as 0 initially, right? Let's run this. I'm not sure whether it's going to work first time. Let's try. Compilation error. What's the compilation error here? J is undeclared. Okay, I did not declare J. Let's run again. It failed. Let's look at the output is 34. It's 3. Expected output is 3. Here 85. So it's not correct. Something is wrong with the logic. Our length is not initialized to 0. Right? Length should be 0. Let's run it again. So it's working. So all the 3 test cases passed. So here you can see ABC, ABC, BB. The output is 3. It's matching the expected output. Case 2, B, output is 1. Expected output is 1. Similarly, this PWWKEW. WK is the largest substring. Output is 3. Expected output is also 3. Let's submit this. Let's see if it works. Yes, it's working, right? So let's revisit this code once again. See here, if you look at the length of substring, idea is to return the maximum length of the substring, right? So what we're doing, we're having 2 loops. One is to iterate over all the characters, right? This is how we can iterate in a string, right? I equal to 0, s of I plus plus. We're checking, we're iterating over the entire string. So each time what we're doing is that we are resetting the length to 0, right? We are finding, in each iteration, we are trying to find the longest substring. So J is starting with ith index. We are not starting from 0. We have to start from that position, right? So what we are doing is we are checking whether in that substring, whether the character s of j is repeating or not. If it is repeating, then we'll come out of the loop. If it is not repeating, we'll increment the length. And once the loop exhausts, we'll check whether the current length is greater than the previous length. If it is greater, we'll update the maximum length. This is how we check whether the longest substring, size of the longest substring. So you can try this later. This is of medium complexity. So I would suggest you revisit this code once again and try to basically understand if you're not understood this. All right. So we'll move to the next question. Are you able to understand? So complexity wise, I would say yes, it's O(n) square, ignoring the complexity inside defined characters. So let's just pick another problem. Okay, so we solved some of the problems. Let's pick another problem. Okay, so we solved 2 sum. There is a median of 2 sorted arrays. Let's try to solve a difficult one. Okay, hard. Okay, let's pick this hard one. Let me grab a glass of water. Meanwhile, you can read the question. All right. So if you look at this question, it says median of two sorted arrays. We need to find the median of two sorted arrays. So given two arrays which are sorted, num1 and num2 of size m and n respectively, return the median of two sorted arrays. Complexity should be log of m plus n. So that's a requirement. So let's look at the inputs. We have two arrays, num1, num2. Num1 contains 1, 3, and num2 contains 2. Output is 2. So if we merge the arrays, for example, right? So we have to find the median to sort arrays. Let's say we merge it, it becomes 1, 2, 3. So median is 2, which comes in the middle, right? A merged array is 1, 2, 3, and median is 2. Let's take another one. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 3, 4 are there. So first array contains 1, 2. Second array contains 3, 4. So after merging it, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? The median is, if you look at the middle element, since it's even, we don't have a fixed median, so we can say average of 2 and 3. That's what we need to take. 2 plus 3 divided by 2 is equal to 2.5. So did you understand the question? Hope you all of you know what is a median, right? Median is the middle element. That's what the median is. If it is odd, we can directly take the middle element. If it is even, we have to find the average of the two middle numbers, right? That's what is done here. Question is clear? Okay. So it is hard, but actually it is not that hard. Okay, so it looks hard, but to be honest, it is easier compared to other problems. All right. So what do you think? What is the approach we need to take? Should we create another array or not to store the merged array? Should we create another array to store the merged array? Some are saying yes, some are saying no. There could be multiple solutions. Okay. So one important thing we have to maybe understand is that for a given problem, there could be multiple solutions. Okay. So you don't have to basically try to crack a problem in such a way that it's optimized always. You can go for a non-optimized solution. Later you can optimize it. It's not necessary that you optimize it in the beginning itself. The easy approach would be that to create a merged array which is sorted. Right? There is one option. After basically creating the merged array, you can just find the median of it. So let's use that approach. Okay, let's use an approach wherein we are going to create another array, and which is going to be the merged array. Okay, we'll take that approach for now. All right. So two inputs are there, num1 and num2, both are arrays. Right. So let's create another array for now. Int star merged array is equal to malloc size of int into, sorry. Okay, so size of the merged array is nothing but size of num1 plus num2, right? Okay, so we created a merged array so that we can allocate enough memory for it, right? Memory is allocated. So how do we create the merged array request? What should we do? Any idea? What should we do? How do you create the merged array? Do we need a loop or not? Or can we directly merge? In this case, there are three possibilities. Okay, so before we can create the merged array, we have to consider three possibilities. So one scenario is use cases both input arrays, right, are of equal size. The one scenario, right? Second scenario is, right, both are not same. Nums1 is larger and than nums2 array. Okay, it's another scenario. Third scenario is nums2 array is larger than num1 array. Okay, so these scenarios we have to keep in mind before we can actually implement the logic. So in this case, you can see, right, input 1, 3 and nums2, right? Here nums1 is larger compared to num2 in terms of size, right? Here both are same. Nums1 is of size 2, nums2 is also of size 2. So this is like some information we need to have beforehand so that we can implement it, right? So we need a few variables to iterate over the arrays. I'll create int I, maybe j and k. Three indexes I will create. Index I will use it for iterating over nums I. Index j I will use it for iterating over nums2, and index k I will use it to iterate over merged array. Okay, three indexes. So initially I'll make all as 0. A equal to j is equal to k is equal to 0. Okay, so initially all are the three indexes, each to iterate over three different arrays: nums1, nums2, and merged array. Okay, so first let's target, assume use case 1. I can say while. I can take a for loop also. I can take a while loop also. So I'll say I is less than nums1 of size and j is less than nums2 of size. Okay. So what we'll do is that we'll compare value in nums1 with compare value in nums2. So whichever is smaller will get added to the merged array. For example, here 1 is smaller compared to 2, so 1 will go to the merged array. Next we'll take 3, compare 3 with 2. In this case 2 is smaller, so 2 will come here, right? Next we have 3 left over, 3 will come here, and so on. So we have to compare. For example, we'll take nums of I, we'll check if it is less than nums of, sorry, nums1 of I will compare with nums2 of j, right? So if it is smaller, we can do this and say merged array will store the value inside the merged array of k is equal to nums of I. We can do I plus plus comma k plus plus. One option, right? Else, what can we do? Can do the same thing, copy paste. So instead of taking nums1 of I, we'll take nums2 of I, right? Of j, sorry. Take j plus plus k plus plus. So do you understand this? What we are doing, we are creating the merged array, right? We are trying to create the merged array. Merged array will contain either the first element from the first array or element from the second array based upon the comparison output. Okay, so if the nums1 is smaller, we'll store nums1 inside the merged array. Nums2 is smaller, we'll store nums2 inside the merged array. Is it possible to write this in a single statement? Can you tell me how to write this in a single line? So we can also merge and sort later also. That is another option. I'm using a slightly different approach. Yeah, so we can do this k plus plus, right? Instead of doing this, I can write in a single line, right? K plus plus is equal to I plus plus. Okay, so it's a little bit of optimization. All right, so again, as I told you, you can write in different ways. So I'm just trying to reduce the number of lines of code here. Okay. So that's it, right? So after this while loop, we can merge the remaining nums1 array. Okay, whatever is left over. Okay. So for that, we can do while I less than nums1 size. I can do this. Similarly, for the leftover value of j, nums2 of array, I can do of j. All right. So leftover values, for example, we are taking 1, 3. So 1 and 2 we are comparing, right? So 1 will come here. Again, 3 and 2 we are comparing, so 2 will come here. So whatever is left over will be added to the merged array. So this will create the merged array. So creation of merged array is done. So after that, what is we need to do? Find the median. So to find the median, we need to check what is the value of k, right? If k is even, we can return merged array of k by 2, right? Straightforward. Else, okay, we have to return average of 2, right? So we have to do this plus -1 k by 2 -1 Okay, previous index and the index you can pick divided by 2.0. Okay, so this is what we need to do. So if it is odd, we can return the middle element. If it is even, we have to add previous element of the middle number plus the next element divided by 2.0. 2.0 because we have to basically return a double value. Is this clear? Finding the median. Let's run. So it's working. Let's look at the output. So 1, 3, 2, output is 2.0, expected output is 2.0. Similarly, 1, 2, 3, 4, expected output is 2.5, and actual output is also 2.5. Let's submit this code. All right, so we can see the code, it's optimized, right? 90 beats 92.3% of the solution. Okay, so this is the solution to the code. Let's come back and you can have a look at the code. Let me remove this for now. All right. Yes, in fact, we don't need the merged array. I can free it also later. But here you're returning. One option is we can store the median inside a variable, then free it. I think that's a better approach. Okay, I can do double median, right? And instead of basically doing this, can do median is equal to merged array. Here I can do median is equal to this, and we can return median. So before returning the median, I can free the merged array. Okay, so let's write a free function also. Let's call the free function so that array which we created is getting free. It's of no use, right? Let's run this. Yeah, it's working, right? Let's submit this. Okay, the test cases are getting passed, not a problem. All right. So what will happen if I don't free? What is it called as if we don't free up the memory?
Good evening, Mubin. I just joined the call.
Yeah.
Looks like the screen is frozen, Mubin. Students are also telling.
Screen is paused, is it?
Yeah. I think I can see. I logged in desktop as well as mobile. Maybe I don't know.
Okay.
Now I quit from desktop. I only in the mobile now.
Okay, sorry. I think I didn't see the messages. Is it visible now?
Yeah, I think your mouse is moving. Can you probably switch some tabs or something? Yeah, I think now it's fine. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I'm not sure what happened. Okay, maybe I will revisit this code again once again, so that I think we missed out certain things. See here, I think initially we created a merged array. Sorry, not this one. So hope my screen is visible. Okay. Again, it shows. const Okay, so here if you look at this code, initially we created a while loop to iterate over the indexes, right? I less than nums1 size and j less than nums2 size. So if you look at the merged array will contain either the element from nums1 or nums2 depending upon the result of comparison. If nums1 is smaller, then it will get added to merged array. If nums2 is smaller, it will get added to the merged array. Similarly, the leftover values are getting added here, right, in the subsequent while loops. Now, to return the median, we are checking whether it is even or odd. If it is odd, we'll return the middle element by taking k by 2. If it is even, we will find the average of two middle elements and return it. Before returning, I'm freeing the merged array so that the memory allocated using malloc here is getting freed. Otherwise, it will lead to a memory leak. So that's about this problem, median of two sorted arrays. So guys, these are some of the example problems which you can also try to get started with. So try to maybe use this logic and implement first. Then later you can try to optimize the code as well. So another option is you can merge and then sort the array. That is another option. But I think that is not optimal. Here you can see, right? Overall runtime should be O log of m plus n. That's what it says. Okay, we can further optimize this as well. But I will leave it to you to optimize the code. Okay. So we'll take one more, maybe one last problem, and after that we'll end this webinar. Let me switch to another problem. There is longest palindrome substring, palindrome number. Okay. I'll take the Fizzbuzz problem. Okay, I just want to demonstrate how to return strings in lead code using malloc. So here there is a Fizzbuzz problem. Okay, let's jump to this. So all of you might be aware of this problem, right? Fizzbuzz. Have you solved this previously? Okay, Ravi Kumar says, I completed that Fizzbuzz, sir. Please take another one. All right. Okay. So let's solve this maybe. Okay, once again, it's okay. I know the problem is not very complex, but let's try to solve it using lead code. Here, unlike general requirements, we are not supposed to print the numbers. Okay, let's have a look at the problem statement. Instead of printing the numbers, we have to construct an array of strings. Okay, so there is a slight difference in the problem statement here. So given an integer n, return a string array which is nothing but the answer, where answer of I is equal to Fizzbuzz if I is divisible by 3 and 5. So here, based upon the value of I, we have to print the result. Okay, if I is 3, we'll print fizz. If I is divisible by 3, sorry, if I is divisible by 3, we have to print fizz. If I is divisible by 5, we'll print buzz. Okay, so let me take a notepad to explain what this is. So basically, we have to print values like this. Assume I is equal to 1. Okay, so two things we have to compare, three things we have to compare here. But I is divisible by 3. I is divisible by 3, we have to print fizz. I is divisible by 5, we have to print buzz. If I is divisible by 3 and I is divisible by 5, we should not print fizz or buzz. Instead, we should print fizz buzz. For all other scenarios, we have to print I. So this is the general requirement. So output will look something like this, right? It will print 1, 2, fizz, 4, buzz, right? So next number is 6. It will not print 6, it will print fizz. Then it will print 7, it will print 8, it will print fizz, it will print buzz. And for the number 15, instead of printing 15, it will print fizz buzz because 15 is divisible by 3 and 5. So that's a requirement, right? So if the number is divisible by 3, print fizz. If the number is divisible by 5, print buzz. If number is divisible by both 3 and 5, you have to print fizz buzz. All of the scenarios print I. So it's an interesting problem statement, and I think if you solved it, well and good. So in this case, the requirement is slightly modified. Instead of printing the numbers, it's telling store the result in an answer array. Okay, that's what it says. We have to store the result inside an answer array as a string. Okay, that is the only modified requirement here. We are not printing the result, we are storing the result as a string. So you can observe here, number is equal to 15, right? Output you can see 1, 2, fizz, 4, buzz, fizz, 7, 8, fizz, buzz, 15, you can see it is fizz buzz. Okay, so this array we have to construct. Okay, so let's start writing the logic. So n is the maximum value and return size is given here. So by the way, return size as well as n will be same if you don't have any issue. All right. So how do we create the string array is the question. So I can create an array by using this. Okay, I can say result array. Can create a result array of pointers, right? We can do this. Or I can do like this, maybe char star of n. Okay, so this is what we are doing. Create an array of pointers. Okay, so we're creating an array of pointers, array of character pointers. Okay, of size n. So n, sorry, yeah, size n. So create an character pointer array of size n. That's what we're doing first. Right. So we need to store this inside the result array. That's why we're creating a array of strings, right? So what is the logic we need to do? We can, for example, say for, I can say int I is equal to 1, I less than or is equal to n, I plus plus, right? So we can check the conditions. We need to check whether I is divisible by 3, 5, and so on. So I can say if, for example, I modulus 3 equal to 0. Right? So we can compare. Again, I can compare if I modulus 5 equal to 0. So we are checking whether I is divisible by 3 as well as 5. So this is the first check. Then I can say result of I is equal to Fizzbuzz. I'll come back to this. Okay, I'll come back to this. Str of Fizzbuzz. Not sure whether you're familiar with this. I'll explain this. So what we're doing is we are storing an array which is dynamically created using a function called as strdub. So strdub function creates a malloc duplicate string. Okay, so strdub is a built-in function used to create a malloc duplicate string. So what it does is it will allocate memory for Fizzbuzz in heap, store the string Fizzbuzz inside the heap, and return its address. So this is a built-in function. Okay, so we are not doing directly this. Okay, so some people say, why not do this directly, right? Some of them you may ask, why can't you do this? So this will also work. The only difference between these two is that here memory is allocated in heap. Here Fizzbuzz will get stored inside the code or text segment. Okay, that's a difference. So this again is a C specific concept. Okay, so later on maybe you can check what is the difference between these two. So it says return array must be malloc, assume caller calls free. It says. Okay, so that's what it says. So I will comment this for now, and let me move on. So that's one thing. So if it is divisible by 3 and divisible by 5, we will store strdub of Fizzbuzz inside it. Otherwise, what we can do is we can store fizz inside it. Okay, that's what we're doing. So this handles two scenarios: I modulus 3 and I modulus 3 and I modulus 5. Else, if we can do I modulus 5 equal to 0. Here we are checking explicitly whether I is divisible by 5 or not. Okay. So if it is divisible only by 5, we can do this. We can store plus. All right. Else, what is that we can do? Right. We have to do result of I is equal to the number I. So can we do like this? How do we convert this I, which is an integer, to a string? What can we do? So I is an integer, but we have to convert I into a string and store it inside the result. How do we do that? Screen paused. Sorry, I don't know why screen is getting paused. Is it visible now? Sorry, something is happening to my screen. That's why I think it should be visible now. Hope it's visible. Okay. So from the beginning you missed everything. I'll repeat. Sorry for the inconvenience. So idea is we need to check whether I is divisible by 3 and I is divisible by 5. So there is a nested loop here. This is like if it is divisible by 3, it will come inside and check whether it's divisible by 5. If it is divisible, we will store inside result of I Fizzbuzz. Okay, we are storing inside result of I Fizzbuzz, but we are not directly storing. We are allocating memory in heap and storing it. So strdup is a built-in function which is going to allocate memory in heap and store the value of Fizzbuzz inside the heap. Okay, so more on this you can read later. What is strdup do? String duplicate function it is. Okay, so if it is not divisible by 5, we'll store the value Fizz only, because if it's 3 and 5, we'll store Fizzbuzz. If it is only 3, we'll store Fizz. Similarly, in the else if part, we'll store buzz. Okay, so this is pretty straightforward. For 5, we need to store buzz. What if it is not divisible by 3 or 5? We have to store the value of I inside result. How do we convert an integer into a string is the question. So here the number is maximum size of the number is 10 power 4. That's what is given. So it's not greater than a 4-digit number. So what I'll do is I'll create a buffer of size 5. All right. So to convert a integer into a string, I can do this as printf. Okay, percentage buff percentage d comma I. Okay, so this is to convert integer I into string. Okay, so we have converted the integer I into string, and we can do strdup of buff. Okay, so this is how we can store the value of I inside result. So finally, we can return the result array. Okay, so let's run this. I'll revisit it. Let's check if it's working. Error. Okay, so I have to use I minus 1 because index starts with 0. Okay, the loop starts with 1, so that is something which we need to consider. Loop is starting with 1, so we need to take I minus 1. It's not working. Okay, so here one more thing is required. Result array return size we not set. Okay, so let's set the return size. Return size is equal to n. It's size of the result array. So it says please subscribe to reduce wait time. Let me run it. So multiple load runtime error load of null pointer to of type char star line 210 serializer. Okay, so there is an error in this code. Let me just check. So one maybe this code, before you fix this code, there is a quiz actually started in Instagram. So I'll share the quiz code, because you have to use the quiz code to enter in the quiz. So you can make a note of it. Let me open the quiz code details.
Mubin, I have it with me. If you don't mind, I can share that as well.
Yeah, no problem. We can share. I got it anyways.
Okay, no problem. You can share it because your screen is shared now, right?
Yeah.
Because you're still running the session.
Yeah.
So no problem.
So
you can share. If you have found it, you can share.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So folks, what you can do is you can go to Emertxe Instagram channel, Emertxe IT. And if you're not subscribed, what I would request is first you can subscribe to our channel, Emertxe IT in Instagram. And then
yeah.
you can
So guys,
Jay, you can go ahead.
These questions are already going live. Basically, this will be part of the Instagram stories. Mubin, do you have our access to our Instagram? We can quickly show them the screenshot.
Yes.
Yeah, that will be helpful. So I'll share a couple of points with the students. Instagram, yeah, /Emertxe, yeah. So this is our Instagram page, as Mubin mentioned. You can click on the story. Just click on the logo, Mubin. Yeah, can click on that. So the quiz is already live. Maybe a few more questions they'll be putting. And then, as you can see there, in the first story, the coupon code is there. So please ensure that you enter the quiz code correctly, because if you don't put the code correctly, we'll be disqualifying you. This is only for the people who are attending the 2 days of workshop. And then subsequently all the other questions are there, you can see. Maybe it will take few more minutes. You can wait. I think there are 10 questions now. I think 3, 4, 5, 6, some 7, 8 are there. We'll wait for 5 minutes and then try. This will be open for 24 hours, as you know, like typical Instagram story. And then our team will evaluate you in the coming week, and then winners, they will get in touch with you, and then we'll ship you goodies and other things, right? So that's for the winners. And for people who have participated yesterday and today, our team will take the attendance information, and then they'll be sending you the participation certificate. Okay, so hope that is clear about the quiz. Okay, so thanks. Mubin, you can proceed, and I think it's been a wonderful workshop. Please proceed with Mubin. I'll see you guys later. Yeah, thanks, Mubin. Bye.
So this is the code. I think I posted in the chat also. So let me maybe post it again. So S2W1 MJCP. Okay, it's all in caps. You can make a note of it. I'll post it in the chat as well. Okay, so you can copy this code and you can start the quiz.
Okay. So thank you, Mubin. You can proceed. I will leave. Thank you for all the students. I'll see you in the next webinar. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Bye.
Sorry, so some of you asked whether you need to be subscribed to Instagram. It's not necessary, it's open. You can also try without basically subscribing also, that's also fine. But it's recommended to subscribe. All right. So let me share my screen once again because there was a small bug in the code, it was throwing up. Second. Okay, so hope my screen is visible now. Can you confirm if my screen is visible? Okay, thank you. Yeah. So I think as you can see, the error message load of null pointers, it's giving some error. So here, as per the requirement, array must be mallocked. So I didn't mallock the array. Let me mallock the array result. Right, I didn't mallock it. I directly created it. So I'll do a malloc of size of char star into n. Let me do this. Let's try this. Yeah, it's working. So this was the problem. At times the message is cryptic. You may not be able to understand what it is. So we had to allocate the array dynamically. That was the requirement. Let's submit this code. So it's working fine, and we got the output. So that's it for today. So let's see how many problems we solved so far. Right, let me go to the dashboard. Okay, so I think we solved 9 problems, right, in these 2 days. So 7 easy problems we could solve, 1 medium problem we solved, and 1 hard problem we solved. Total 9 problems we could solve in the 2 days. So hope you got an idea of how we can get started with solving competitive problems in using LeetCode as a platform. So I request you to further explore on your own by creating a login in a platform like LeetCode or maybe HackerRank, etc. And on a daily basis, what you can do is try to solve at least 1 problem. Right? You can make that as a goal, right? I know you're having other basically tasks, but I would request you to basically solve different types of problem on a daily basis. Pick 1 problem, try to solve it, and try to see where it stands in terms of performance with respect to how others have solved it. So you can always look at the analytics which is provided in lead code and compare with other solutions, and you can improvise on it. So hope you had understood what has been covered in these 2 days of the workshop. So I request you to practice more and more problems so that you at least become comfortable with solving easy to medium problems. And definitely this will help you in cracking interviews, because nowadays companies, when they take first round of interview, they will give some competitive problem, and if you solve those problems, only then they will schedule the next round of problems. All right, so thank you everybody for attending this webinar. Hope you enjoyed it, and have a good night.